that becomes your coaching superpower, because you can talk to that struggle. And very often, if we don't overcomplicate the business side of coaching, I would argue that most coaches really want to help a younger version of themselves that was on that path of struggle. What if your greatest life struggle could be your greatest coaching success? That is the question we're going to answer today, and I'm going to read your mind, and I guarantee it, there's an element of that in your story too. Hi, my name's Andy Ramage. I'm the founder of the Coach Business School. If you're thinking about getting accredited as a coach, or you're already an accredited coach, come and learn the skills of coaching and business. When you combine those two together, you create success. That's why we're the home of successful coaches. All right, if you enjoy this episode, please subscribe. Let's get into it. What if your greatest struggle could become your greatest success? What a wonderful question. And it's so true within the world of coaching. Your greatest struggle becomes your greatest success. And I see this all the time. Here is a little bit of mind reading on my part. And in coaching, we don't mind read, but I'm just going to try and mind read right now. I'm going to mind read your mind through the lens, through the airwaves right now. Here's my hunch. You are drawn towards coaching, already accredited coach, or you're thinking about getting accredited, because you've recently overcome, or in your life, you've overcome a big struggle in your life, adversity of some sort. And on that journey, which you found difficult to overcome, there were probably moments when you would have wished to have had some support of a coach, for example. And now over time, you overcame that big challenge, whatever it might be for you, and you've achieved a level of success with that. Not perfection, but you've moved a long way. Let's just say you were a -5 at one point and now you're a +5. Like, there is a great success in you overcoming that big life obstacle, whatever that was for you. It could have been a burnout. It could have been a relationship that didn't work out. It could have been a relationship with alcohol that went awry. It could have been a menopause, a retirement, a redundancy, a sickness. These type of big life challenges very often just tap us on the shoulder gently and wake us up to our potential. Your greatest struggle can become your greatest success. And within coaching, this is a gift. This is a gift that keeps giving. It will look after you for the rest of your coaching career. That struggle that at one point in your life was really difficult and really challenging. And maybe there were points when you never thought you were going to get out of that particular hole, but here you are. And then somewhere along that adventure, as you overcame that adversity, there's a little piece of you that wanted to give back, that wanted to potentially help someone like you on that journey, as you now have that experience of someone that's been out the other side. And maybe you did reflect back and think, if only I'd had someone with me through that period, it might have been easier to deal with that challenging situation. These are the type of reflections that I think lead us to become coaches. But there's more. There's something so much deeper, so much more to this equation. I also think, and I know this through the great literature of which I read and study continuously, the way down is often the way up. Or as Richard Rohr, the great spiritual guide, would say, we fall upwards. We stumble over stumbling stones, and in doing so, we wake up to our life potential. We move out of that middle lane, averagey malaise that I think so many people get stuck into. We get, slapped out of that through a fall in many ways. And again, all of those reasons that I've just previously mentioned just wake us up to life. And in that challenge, in that struggle, which we find really hard, there's this unbelievable opportunity to bounce up and blossom and become the person we was always meant to be. We challenge and question all of those conventional thinkings about how life should be led and lived. And in doing so, we get this incredible opportunity to find our authentic self, to lead a life of contribution, of wonder, of joy. And it was the biggest struggle that actually woke us up to this. It was our greatest gift on reflection. And in the time, you can never see this, right? Because it hurts. It's not until you're out the other side. Therefore, when it comes to coaching, the reason this is even more wonderful is because I think you're compelled to give back and contribute. That's why you're listening to this podcast. But also it becomes your superpower as a coach in many ways, because this is what allows you to connect with other people that are going through a similar struggle. If we think about coaching more broadly, and let's just talk about the business of coaching, people don't come to coaching when they feel okay. When they're like bumbling along at a 6 or a 7, they're probably much less likely to put their hand up or be compelled to reach out for a coach. Of course, that still happens, but it's a tiny percentage. Whereas, if you're struggling with something, right? You're sitting at home and you're facing a retirement and you just do not know where your meaning and purpose is coming from, or an empty nest, and you realize you don't even know who you are anymore. You've devoted your life to your children, your family, and you're trying to rebuild that. Or you're an athlete like I work with that's just been injured and seen their career, their meaning, their purpose gone in a flash, or someone facing a redundancy or trying to change a relationship with alcohol. If you've walked that path before and that's your story, that becomes your coaching superpower, because you can talk to that struggle. And very often, if we don't overcomplicate the business side of coaching, I would argue that most coaches really want to help a younger version of themselves that was on that path of struggle. Therefore, it just gets easier and easier. Your struggle becomes your greatest success because you just talk to that struggle. And when you talk to that struggle through posts that you put on social media, not that you need social media to be a successful coach, by the way, or standing on a stage, or the books that you write, the podcasts you put out into the world, or the conversations you have around the coffee cooler, water cooler, or the coffee machine at work, you draw the right type of client into you. Because those that are facing that struggle, whether they're saying it out loud or not, will be compelled to listen to what you've got to say. That's how the human mind works, because they'll be thinking there's something in this conversation, this post, this podcast for me. They're talking to my struggle that's keeping me awake at night that no one else knows about. And when we hear those type of stories, we're compelled to listen. And when we listen for long enough, we get a chance to build a relationship. This is the greatest success of coaching. So our biggest struggle becomes our greatest success, because here you are out the other side of that struggle and creating some form of success. I just want to wrap around a bit of caveat around that word success. Doesn't mean you're perfect, just means you've made progress. Okay? Not perfection, progress. Now, because of that, you become someone that others are attracted to, that are facing that same struggle, because you've walked that path and now you're out the other side, and you've got skills through coaching that will allow you to help them, that will allow them to deal with that struggle in a more skillful, effective way, so it might not be as painful for as long. That is worth its weight in gold, depending on the problem. Worth its weight in gold to people. They'll invest a lot of money in that, and why wouldn't they? To soothe that pain, to speed up that process of change that's causing them pain. We're more compelled by pain than we are by pleasure. Unfortunately, that's the way the human brain works. Therefore, if we can talk to that struggle, we'll always attract the right type of people in, and we know that space. So yes, you can coach anyone, right? The coaching skills that you've learned, developed, or if you want to come and learn those skills, come and train the Coach Business School with myself. They are the skills that you need to coach anyone, right? Because coaching has a skill. In theory, anyone can coach anyone. That's how it works, right? We're not telling people what to do. We're just asking them great questions, allowing them to explore their own mind and helping them create their ways forward and holding them accountable to that. Caveat, I teach all our coaches this, you can still use your wealth of experience really skillfully. So we don't give advice in a normal conversation, but we might have lots of expertise, and sometimes our clients don't know what they don't know. So we can layer in some teaching really skillfully and deliberately into our coaching, but we're not constantly advice giving or telling people what to do. However, the big win of the struggle into success is that you can talk that language. You've been there, you can empathize, and someone else can know that you've walked that path too, which makes you more attractive to them as a coach than someone that's never walked that path. Therefore, it becomes our greatest marketing tool. Your biggest struggle becomes your greatest marketing success, because your biggest struggle becomes the stories that you share and tell to others that hooks in the right people, because they're facing that same struggle. It's keeping them awake at night, and in doing so, you bring people into your world who will feel compelled to reach out to you and work with you as their coach. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need books and podcasts and accolades. You just need to be humanly you. This is the greatest gift of coaching. And I guarantee it, this is my mind read again, if you're listening to this podcast, you've got a story that matches what I said. You've got a story that's had struggle. There was a solution, a pivot, something happened, you retrained, you read a book, and then successes. And if the struggles match the successes, overweight, lost weight, anxious, peaceful, people will do almost anything for the bit in the middle, and rightly so. And then people place a different value on that depending where they are in life. This is the secret to business in many ways in coaching. And bigger than that, forget the business side of things. And we're always mission-led. You'll probably find the people that you're most compelled to help in this world, the group that gets you out of bed, the group that you're most excited about helping, are the people that are struggling with the same thing that you struggled with. It's really simple when you understand how. So, your greatest struggle, who would have thought, could become your greatest coaching success. It will lead you to a path of meaning, of contribution, and of business success in coaching. So, reflect upon this. What has been your greatest struggle that you've turned into potentially your greatest success? Thank you for watching. My name's Andy Ramage, founder of the coachbusiness.school. If you want to know more about what we do, if you want to get accredited as a coach, if you're already an accredited coach, come and train with me, coachbusiness.school. I run all the courses, whether that's training our diplomas courses, which is treble accredited, or our full MBA, marketing and business for accredited coaches. I'm leading both of those groups. That is why we are the home of successful coaches. Come and join us, coachbusiness.school. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe, share widely, and I'll see you again for some more coaching wisdom very soon. Let's do this.